Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with us. We're jumping right in today, setting the stage for a truly fascinating journey. We're going to be looking at the profound, imagined conversations of some of literature and film's absolute greatest fathers. It's kind of like a giant puzzle, figuring out what these incredible characters can teach us about the very essence of human connection. So think about this for a second. What if fiction's greatest fathers could actually sit down and talk to us about love? It's a pretty compelling question, right? Now, you might be wondering why we chose these specific guys. Well, the characters we're exploring today aren't beloved because they're flawless. No way. They are remembered because they faced literally impossible tests of love. And honestly, their responses give us an absolute masterclass in the human spirit. Okay, let's dive into this. When we look at these iconic stories, we see right away that fatherhood isn't about perfection or having total control or even absolutely shielding a child from every possible wound out there. Instead, it's about moral courage, spiritual memory, and, this is a tough one, the painful grace of letting go. These fathers really show us that fatherhood isn't just one single kind of strength. It's this complex spectrum of choices, all made right in the face of very real human flaws like fear and overprotectiveness. Section 1, Teaching Courage and Truth. Let's head to our first stop on this evolutionary arc of fatherhood, fathers who absolutely must protect their children's minds from a cruel external world. And we're starting with the iconic Atticus Finch in the very fearful town of Maycomb. You know, this quote from Tom Robinson just hits the nail on the head. It beautifully captures the core of Atticus Finch's lesson. See, Atticus doesn't try to teach his kids, Scout and Jem, through sheer force or these big dramatic speeches. Instead, he teaches them by letting them see the heavy, heavy cost of decency. He lets them watch him stand exactly where truth asks him to stand, even when literally the entire town turns against him. Look at the contrast on this slide for a moment. It really begs the question, how much of the world's cruelty should we hide from the people we protect before a gentle lie just becomes a harmful blindness? Atticus knows that a gentle lie might feel super kind for a day, but ultimately, it leaves a child completely unprepared for life. So he aims to give his kids courage without cruelty and mercy without fear by just facing the truth head on. Section 2, Chosen Love and Sacrifice. Now we're moving into the next stage of fatherhood, stepping into the world of Jean Valjean. He's a hunted man who enters fatherhood not through a bloodline, but through a profound, incredible act of mercy. For his adopted daughter Cosette, the markers of a real father are actually quite simple. Safety, bread, warmth, patience, the hand that never strikes. Valjean proves that a father's love isn't just some grand one-and-done rescue mission. It's built on daily devotion. It's choosing that child's life over his own every single morning. And that brings us to a really fascinating question. Did Valjean save Cosette, or did Cosette save Valjean? I mean, Valjean rescued her from fear, for sure, but actually, scratch that. It's more like Cosette gave Valjean's love somewhere to rest. She saved him from his own dark shadows of shame and exile, long before he ever had to face the ultimate agonizing sacrifice of letting her go to Marius. Section 3, Legacy, Memory, and Imagination. Let's transition smoothly over to two fathers dealing with absolute impossible realities. We're talking about Guido Orefice from Life is Beautiful and Mufasa from The Lion King, where love literally has to transcend the physical limitations of the world. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we define imagination here. For Guido, who is trapped in a concentration camp, imagination isn't just some beautiful lie. It is a final shelter. He takes unimaginable terror and turns it into a game with rules and points. He actively chooses to paint a smile over his excruciating pain, to guard his son Giosue's soul. When he couldn't protect his physical world, he used joy as an absolute, pure act of defiance. Shifting gears to Mufasa, we encounter a totally different kind of legacy, beautifully summed up by Rafiki here. When a father dies too soon, this incredibly deep burden is placed on the child. Simba initially runs from this, right? He completely confuses his father's memory with this impossibly heavy pressure, feeling like every single lesson is just an accusation of his own failure. But the healing finally begins when we understand this key distinction. Mufasa's true legacy wasn't asking Simba to just become a shadow, trapped in guilt or acting as some walking monument to the past. The true goal was for Simba to become himself. Mufasa's voice was just there to guide Simba to face his own fear, so he could return to Pride Rock with courage uniquely shaped by his own pain, finally roaring with his own breath. Section 4, The Grace of Letting Go. We're entering the final and, honestly, perhaps the most agonizing test of fatherly love, overcoming your own deeply rooted fears to let a child forge their own path. And nobody embodies this better than Marlin in Finding Nemo. Notice that incredibly thin line between guiding and a cage? Remember, Marlin's journey into fatherhood began with the massive, tragic loss of his mate, Coral. So his love became completely tangled up with terror. I really want you to consider this for a second. How on earth can we keep loving openly, letting a child actually test the current, after terror has taught us to expect the absolute worst? At what point does our warning and worrying literally freeze a child's spirit? And this brilliantly illustrates Marlin's painful evolution. He goes from enduring profound loss to fiercely overprotecting out of fear to, finally, trusting his child to swim. Aided by friends like Dory and Crush, Marlin has to learn that true devotion isn't just keeping Nemo locked safely behind a wall forever. It requires giving Nemo the actual freedom to risk the current. Section 5, The Final Thoughts. Even though we've journeyed through some incredibly diverse stories today, they all converge on one absolutely powerful truth. A father's greatest gift comes in so many unexpected forms. Sometimes a father's love is a literal rescue, just a physical lifeline pulled straight from the depths of despair to ensure a child simply survives another day. Other times, it's a moral example. Just like Atticus Finch, standing tall and alone in a fearful town, proving to us that your conscience matters way more than your comfort. Sometimes it is simply a promise kept. Think of Jean Valjean's unwavering, daily devotion, waking up and choosing a child's future over his own past day after day after day. Sometimes it's a game invented in darkness, a heartbreakingly beautiful act of defiance, like Guido's, preserving a child's innocence when the world has entirely lost its own. And sometimes it is the profound, terrifying courage to just let a child swim, like Marlin and Mufasa, learning the ultimate lesson in trust, knowing that love eventually means letting go so the child can truly live. Ultimately, long after all these stories end, this is the profound message that remains hidden inside the child. You are loved, you are stronger than fear, now become who you are. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this. Which of these fathers echoes the protectors in your own life? And even more importantly, whose current are you finally ready to brave on your own?